Hello and welcome to the Carl Experience. I didn't bother to make this episodic because this is more of a tap you on the shoulder, kind of an Uncle Ben moment, if you will. So, welcome to the Carl Experience. This video is not going to be terribly long because I have to upload it. Duh. But I wanted to reprise everybody on a few things as far as the election goes. Whether or not you're tired of hearing about it or not, I'm still going to remind you of some things. Okay, first of all, the voting has not been certified yet, so there is no actual president-elect yet. A disturbing trend that happened is that on election day, a lot of Trumpers or MAGA heads voted en masse on that day. A lot of them voted before, but quite a few of them voted on the day of. So the President Trump's numbers surged initially, like he was saying they were going to, and then it slowed to a crawl, and then Biden started getting more votes because people were been voting for a while with mail-in ballots. I myself voted early, and I didn't vote for either guy. And personally, I'm laughing all the way to the bank on this one because I don't have a horse in this race, so I'm watching everybody clamor about what's right, what's wrong. I don't think either guy can really save the country as it stands right now. The AP announced that Joe Biden had won, and he won 290 votes. Like, seriously, he won 290 votes within the first few days, and Trump stood at 214 or so, 213, 214. The Associated Press called this to Biden without it being certified. I would have waited, but I don't get paid to make political decisions like that, so cheers. Okay. Now here's the funny part. Trump has been the night, and Trump has already stated, I want to make this as clear as I can. Since I don't have a pony in this race, I don't care if people get pissed off or not, because who cares at this point? If you voted for Trump or you voted for Biden, good luck. That's all I'm going to say is good luck to you. But you also have to remember that Biden thinks he's got this in the bag, and so does Trump. And Trump has openly stated, this is not misconstruing it or taking it out of context. He said it more than once. We won't accept the election results unless I win. That displays an intent. That means if I don't win, somebody had to cheat. No. I'm sorry, it's not always the way it works, Trump. And then Trump, on election night here in Kansas, Central Standard Time, he came on at 1:30 to deliver his address to everybody. And he said that if you count all of the legal ballots, he won by a huge margin. No, he did not. And if you count all the millions of votes, if you count all the illegal votes, they're trying to steal the vote from us. Not true. Now, as I don't have a pony in this race, you're going to hear that alliteration a lot because some of you I know are like, you fucking liberal, you need to burn in hell, you need to do this, you need to kiss my ass. I voted for somebody who got 1.6% of the vote because I believe our country needs to vote for a third-party candidate because the two parties, Democrat and Republican, are too polarized against each other. Each one thinks the other is evil and will tear the fucking universe and the country apart. Having said that, Biden's number has not moved. His votes, or his electoral votes, I guess, still stand at 290, and I checked this right before I did this video, or right before I did this podcast. For those of you on Anchor, you can only hear me. You can only hear me instead of seeing me. Those of you on YouTube, you can see me drinking beer, so it's all good. And I popped this beer like 10 minutes before I started this video, or before I started recording this podcast. But yeah, according to the AP results, which I'm not gonna say that anything's wrong, that it was right. But according to them, Biden got 290 votes, and his votes have not moved at all. Meanwhile, Trump went from 214 or 213 to 232. It takes 270 to win. With Biden still over 290 electoral votes, it begs a question, even with all this shit, why he hasn't been announced the winner. But, it's a thought process for me. I find it very unique and funny that, because I'm not going to say that Biden is the president-elect, because in fact he isn't until it's been certified. What I do find alarming on the Biden side, as much as I hate to say when Trump says that, well, we won the election if you count the legal ballots, won by a landslide, and then he says if you count the illegal votes, they're trying to steal the vote. Okay, that's unfounded. They have not really found a whole lot of proof to that. And if you're a Republican, and if you're a conservative Republican or a MAGA supporter or MAGA head, whatever the hell you want to call it, you're going to call me a fascist liberal piece of shit. I don't care. He shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't be trying to undermine the voting system that puts him into power. He did so with Hillary Clinton. He openly said during his race with Hillary that it's all fine if he wins. If he doesn't win, something is rigged. Okay, and the same thing that happened to her is now happening to you. She was winning by a landslide, and then the other votes came in and knocked her off of her almighty perch. Now, I realize he's a litigious sumbitch. I'm not going to argue that he doesn't have the right to do that. He has a full right to do that. What worries me about the Trump side is that they say the poll watchers weren't allowed into the polling sites. They were. I actually went and checked that. I checked out the live streams. There were people present on both sides. Now, because they couldn't, they're going to whine because they weren't allowed to sit in the vote counters' laps while they were doing their job. No, they're not allowed to do that. Now, I realize some of you will say, "Well, that's our evidence." Sitting on somebody's lap and making sure that they count every single vote, that's like when some of the Republicans still say that there was a truckload found in a creek somewhere in the United States filled with Trump ballots. How do you know they were Trump ballots unless you opened them? In which case you committed a federal crime. And I'm not kidding. I had to drink a beer there, sorry. Unless you open that mail up and check to see who they voted for, which is considered fraud if you're not an election official or an official counter. So if you found the ballots that were sealed sitting in a creek and all of them said Trump, I'd question how that happened. That in itself lacks gravitas. It lacks credibility. That's what we want. We want credibility. Now, I will say on behalf of Trump, and I'm not a Trumper, so I find that that Biden coming out and saying that he's president-elect, premature and unprofessional of him. He knows how the system works. In fact, he knows how the system works better than most people do. So him claiming that he's president-elect when the results haven't been certified is tantamount to bullshit and the same sort of one-upmanship that Trump is always into. Now, I'm not saying Trump is an evil. I'm not saying Trump is orange, orange guy, orange-haired guy who's evil. What I am saying is I don't trust him around the country. I've been watching a lot of both sides because I haven't found a nice middle, anybody on the middle yet. Somebody who's walking that fine line. Because, like, I read news articles and they're either radical Republican, conservative Republican, or radical Democrat and conservative Democrat. To give you a fine example of this, I've been watching the Ben Shapiro show and Brian Taylor Cohen. I realize both of them think that they're biased, ultra partisan conservatives. I get that. They would call each other that if they had the chance. And they both present a model of them. They present what they think the country should be run like. Now, here's the warning that I have for everybody. And this should strike at everybody. If you're a conservative, Democrat or Republican, if you're a conservative, conservatives don't run the country. You're not the only people here. It's not about hearing what you want to hear at all times. For those who are radical, left or right, the country doesn't belong. It belongs to all of us. Not just the conservative, not just the conservative Republicans or the conservative Democrats or the Christians or the Buddhists or the Catholics or anybody else. It's all one big melting pot. And I've been watching the Ben Shapiro show for quite a few months now, and if you ever watch the Ben Shapiro show, he does make some pretty intelligent arguments. But there are times where, and I'm not partisan. So I'm listening to Ben Shapiro, and then I started listening to Brian Tyler Cohen. And I find there's a balance. They both charge each other's parties with being radical and being out of control and willing to do anything to take power. That tells me they're both seeing each other in the mirror. Whether you like it or not, both podcasts are set as a conservative moderation. Brian Tyler Cohen is a conservative Democrat. He makes good points. Ben Shapiro is a conservative Republican, and yes, he is Republican. Whether you recognize the slant or not, he pretty much sees Democrats as they evil. Democrat evil. Republican, we go to heaven. That's not the way that works, because David Allen Cohen, you know who he says, well, Republican evil, go to hell. Democrat, good, go to heaven. No, it's a mix of both of those. And conservatives, conservatives don't run the country. You've never run the country. And if anybody tries pulling up that old chestnut, well, our founding fathers were they were liberal. They were progressive. And before anybody starts saying, that's not what a liberal is, god damn it, fuck you and do a little more reading. I've done the reading. That's why when people say, well, you don't know what this word means now. No, I know what the fucking word means now. And I know you're misconstruing the meaning of the actual word. The founding fathers were liberal. They were progressives. Any thinking of the kind is just you being a well-wisher and a soothsayer to soothe your own ego. And I'm not intentionally trying to piss anybody off. It's going to happen. I'm going to piss everybody off at some point or another. Now, I will bother pointing out the fragility of what I see as conservative weakness on behalf of the election results. When the Associated Press announced that Biden had won the president-elect, and I'm not kidding. You can look this up. I don't care if you like it or not. The timing is too coincidental. Thousands, if not millions, of people who were conservative, right-wing Republicans said whatever they wanted to, and then said they were going to MeWe, Parler, Rumble, all these other videos, all these other sites. Some were claiming that they were being censored. Some were actually correct in assuming they were being censored. It's not an impossibility to be censored. The issue I have is the stuff I've seen on MeWe and Parler. It's no longer about censorship. It's the people who are posting on those sites don't care if what they post is true. They don't give a shit. It's, well, this is my opinion. Okay, so if you're posting something for President Trump that's false, patently false, and we can prove it, you don't like that. And like I've heard plenty of my conservative friends and family say, well, we're not hearing our own voice. The world does not revolve around conservative views. Sorry to tell you, it doesn't. I'm not a people can. I know people that consider me a conservative because my views aren't extreme enough for them, and I know some people that consider me a dirty radical liberal because I have progressive ideas that don't match theirs, and I could care less. Your opinion of me, I could care less. At least I'm true to who the hell I am, and there are times where I read stuff that completely pisses me off and I go off about it. Just like somebody once got on, somebody was commenting on a friend's thing and said that everybody who voted for anybody other than Biden and Trump wasted their vote. That offended me to the point of needing to say, fuck you and fuck your two-party system because you're a MAGA head and you refuse to believe that everybody should have their right to vote. I believe in the right to vote. I wasn't attacking who they voted for at all. I don't care. I don't care if you voted for Biden. I don't care. I don't give a shit if you voted for Trump. Don't give a fuck. The part that pissed me off was being told that my vote was wasted. They consider my vote wasted because I voted for somebody other than the two popular candidates. Well, I say to them, fuck you. I'm exercising my political power, which I've had longer than you have. That's what pissed me off. And if that person's friend who tried to chide me is listening to this, I can't apologize for why I went off. I'm not even going to apologize for going off on your friend. I'm your friend too. But everybody jumps on my ass because I don't have a conservative fucking mindset and because I choose to stand up for myself. I didn't jump on somebody for who they voted for. I jumped on their ass because they're telling me I wasted my vote. Big fuck you on that one. If you want to be mad and unsubscribe, I don't care. This friend knows who they are. But I will not be told that I wasted my vote. I voted. I've been voting since 1998. I've been able to vote since 1997. Don't ask. Really weird story. But yeah, I've been exercising my right to vote since 1998, and I will not have some homesteading backwoods chick tell me that my vote was wasted because I didn't vote for one of the two popular candidates. My vote counted. Just because I don't agree with you and I didn't vote for who you wanted doesn't mean my vote was wasted. My vote was well spent, as is my opinion. And like I've got friends and family who didn't vote the way I did. I've got like John Rickard, married to my niece. Him and I do not see eye to eye on politics all the time. In fact, we debate and argue quite a bit. But at the end of the day, I still respect him because he backs his shit up. It's not, well, go Trump, Trump 2020. He backs, he states what he likes about Trump, and I respect you having a reason. If you've got a reason behind why you're voting for him, not just a vote partisan, then I'm going to respect you a whole lot more. Now, with regards to the migration, as soon as the Associated Press released that Biden had won, which is not certified, as I said, a bunch of conservative Republican friends and family decided to start talking about what social media platforms they were going to and posting whatever they wanted. Okay, I'll buy that for $1, but if you're saying that it's because you're being censored, and then when I go to look at that social media site and you're posting false information, then I don't see it being an opinion. I see you propagating false information. I don't like false information. That's why Biden is not the president-elect. No, did you hear that? Biden is not the president-elect yet. As of tonight, shit, I forgot what today was. Saturday. It's like November 13th or some crap. As of today, Joe Biden is still not the president-elect yet. Do I think he's going to be the president-elect? I don't know. I'd say since his status on his votes has not changed, it's still standing at 290. Yeah, it still stands at 290, and you need 270 to win. And Trump is trying to work his way up to having 270. I really don't see Trump winning. But now, another thing that is funny is, like John Rickard said earlier today, on a post, on a memory post that I posted today. I know I said that a little too much. He said, "Show me the evidence." Period in between each word. I loved it. It was awesome. Now here's the thing. They had the Mueller probe, and if they took out all the redactions, I'm sure we'd find something out. But because we couldn't do redaction. Now here's the other part. When it was suggested that Trump had colluded with Russia or Ukraine, I think it was Russia, all of the conservative and, well, basically if you're a Republican, it was like, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? They actually presented evidence. And at the same time, the Senate, which was Republican controlled, Mitch McConnell pretty much, not in these exact words, but pretty much said, we will exonerate him of everything, no matter what they find. He didn't care if there was evidence of collusion. He did not, the Republicans did not care if Trump had done something wrong. As far as they were concerned, he was free and gone. And I posted a video about this, about a year or so ago here on Facebook, an actual video of a type of proof, if you will, because everybody's got their own definition of what proof is. And I posted that, not being partisan. I was looking to hear if they were going to admit something. I wanted to hear it. If they didn't admit something, I wanted to hear that. And I found what I wanted while I wasn't looking for it. In fact, I had to go on YouTube and hunt that damn thing down, and then play it on my TV and record it with my phone. But Republicans don't want to believe in all that, and Republicans are like, "Where's the proof?" There's no proof. It's nowhere. And then when Trump says something like, "Oh, it's a witch hunt," Republicans naturally buy into that. Now that the election fraud thing is going on, the Democrats are standing there going, "Where's the evidence?" And overwhelming landslide evidence has not been presented at all. Now, we already knew, if you had a brainstem, you know that there was going to be a little bit of hanky-panky with as big as a mail-in ballot vote was this year. I get it. It's okay. Perfectly fine. It's going to happen. It's not going to go on without snags and flaws and slip-ups. I get that. But when Trump is saying even before the election starts that, well, if I don't win, there's election fraud. That's not how this works. You're supposed to instill a sense of confidence in the people, not simply tell the people whatever the hell you think is going to happen because you're afraid of losing. Now, do I think that Joe Biden and Trump should do I think either one of them should win? No, I don't. Personally, I think Jo Jorgensen should be in office because she's third party, and it would give both parties a chance to regroup and come up with an actual candidate who's not a doddering old man. Whether or not you like him, Republican or Democrat, these guys are both beyond 70 years old. They're in their mid to late 70s. I, for one, don't want a guy who could die literally at any moment running the country. And, like, for all those people who are like, I wanted a woman president, Jo Jorgensen, right there. You don't have to wait for Joe Biden to die or be ruled infirm. Jo Jorgensen is right there. You don't have to wait. Just instant woman president. Now, do I like Kamala Harris? There are things I like about her. I'm not overtly impressed by her. I mean, I thought the vice presidential debate was filled with unanswered questions. But this isn't a podcast about the presidential debates or the vice presidential debate. I wanted to make sure that all of you knew that I'm not partisan, so I'm not I'm listening to both sides. That's why I'm listening to Brian Tyler Cohen and Ben Shapiro. And yeah, I've got to say that they're both really one-sided conservatively. And if you're conservative, you're probably sucking that crap up like it's manna from heaven. My problem is conservatives aren't the only people in this country. We shouldn't all be consigned to bowing down to a conservative majority in the party. The party should have conservatives. It should have liberal conservatives, conservative liberals. Yes, those two things actually exist. And who knows, maybe even a radical opinion for once. Having a radical who has a brain and doesn't believe in anarchy might be a thing. But at this point, we could probably use the anarchy more than we could use the system. Now, what I did find hilarious is all these stars who are now pro-Trump. They're rich. They get a tax break because they're rich. I get it. You're rich, but you don't need to. If you're coming out and say, "Well, I voted for him because I got a tax break and I get to keep more of my money," like Steve Bezos, who now is worth over $200 billion with a B dollars. He has more money than his kids will ever spend in their lifetime. He has more money than he'll spend in his lifetime. He has his great grandchildren settled for life. Why shouldn't he be taxed? Why shouldn't all these companies be taxed if you're saying, well, because it would it harms billionaires who want to be rich. Like the Koch brothers. They're billionaires. Well, the Koch brother right now. But look at it this way. They get tax breaks all the time for everything they do. They don't need a tax break. They are billionaires. What do they need to be billionaires for? If they lose, if they get taxed at 70%, they're still going to have over $1 billion. It's still, for several billionaires, they'll move down to multimillionaire status. Oh my God, that would be horrible. To have a net worth of $270 million or even $500 million and above. You need to pay your taxes. Stop looking for loopholes. Just pay your damn taxes. Stop trying to buy shit to get a tax write-off. And yeah, I don't know. I'm probably going to piss most of you off with my opinionations, but I don't care. I'm done caring about what side wins and what side fails. when the election results come back after all these lawsuits, most of these lawsuits have been proven frivolous in the first place, and you might disagree with me. You might even want to tell me that. Go ahead and tell me I'm wrong. But Joe Biden, according to the AP results, Joe Biden's number has not quivered, or moved at all. Not one number. Trump has moved up from 214 or 213, I don't remember which one, to 232. Okay, so here's a scenario for you. Biden's number doesn't change. Trump's number keeps going up and going up and going up. Are they going to keep running this until Trump passes 270 and declare him the winner? Even if Biden still has 290? If Biden stays above 270, he still wins. For those of you upset about that, well, you have to get used to it. And I have another small funny thing that's funny. I was watching the Ben Shapiro show, and he decided to slam on Whoopi Goldberg, stating that we did deal with it. You guys have not accepted anything from in the 4 years that Trump's been in office. Okay, let's compare these pans. Trump has been put under major scrutiny his entire presidency thusly far of 4 years. And Republican supporters, well, they burned dolls of him and all this other crap, and they said he wasn't a real president and all this shit. They wouldn't accept him. They incited violence. Okay. Now, let's wind that clock a little further back. Trump's had to undergo intense scrutiny for the past 4 years. Okay. We'll buy that cake. He still doesn't compare to Obama. Obama faced unprecedented bipartisan rebuttal and everything for the entire 8 years he was in office. They didn't just stop after a month or two like they did with Trump. The entire 8 years Trump was in office, they were burning dolls that looked like Obama. The Republican, and when the Republicans had the chance, they would filibuster, break, and try to do everything they could to stop Obama from making laws. And in fact, Obama had to start doing presidential mandates or whatever, executive orders to get certain things through. Because Republicans, well, we're not passing him because he's a Democrat. Well, I'm sorry, but 8 years compared to your 4 years, when Republicans say, well, we've heard the Democrats for 4 years. But the Republicans have been bitching since Obama got in office. Literally, since they got in office. As I said, you may not like this podcast. In fact, I'm sure one of you's hung up on me already and said, fuck him. He can go to hell. He's a partyist. He's a liberal monkey fucker or whatever. I'm being honest. I'm looking back at the past, and I went from being a chest-thumping, Toby Keith-loving Republican to a Toby Keith-loving, chest-pounding independent. I will point out the smears of both the Democrats and the Republicans, and I have done so vociferously as I can, when I can. Some people are just too partisan to give a shit, and others simply, it doesn't matter how much I turn myself blue in the face presenting them evidence and facts. Well, that's not true. I'm sorry, but the entire universe does not rotate around your sense of right and wrong. And I will say this in winding down. I find Ben Shapiro to be a slanted, right-wing Republican conservative, and I find Brian Tyler Cohen to be a right-wing conservative Democrat. They're both in the exact same place on opposite sides of the political pendulum. One's right-wing conservative Republican, one's right-wing conservative Democrat. Are they going to clash? Oh, hell yeah, because I think their ideology is proper, and they both make really good arguments. If I ever find a nonpartisan or even a libertarian who's middle of the political spectrum, doesn't side with either one totally, is middle of the road, just like I am. That's why I would next election. I think I might actually sign up to work the election polls because if I'm not partisan, who cares? I'll vote for whoever I choose to, and I try to vote for what I believe is best for the country, not for me, not for my kids, for the country. What should our country look like in 4 years' time? Can this person make that happen? Just like I don't believe that Biden did that during his 8 years as vice president. I don't believe that Trump has even come close to saying everything he said he was going to do in his first 4 years. Will he have a second? We don't know. It's up in the air. It's like pixie dust up in the air. It's flying around. We don't know where it's at. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of partisan stuff on both sides, so that I wouldn't release just a partisan episode of this. But if you will recall, I'm nonpartisan, and I've told you the results as of tonight. It's Trump has 232, and Biden has 290. Meaning Biden's already over that line, according to the Associated Press. And a lot of you will claim Epoch Times or other conservative websites that state that Biden is now losing a truckload of votes and Trump is gaining them. I don't know that that's true, but I find that everybody, if you're a conservative, you want to hear conservative news and conservative only. Listen to more than just your conservative stuff. If all you're ever going to do is listen to conservative stuff, you're going to end up looking like an idiot when everything's said and done. Because when you're old and, well, did you go this way? No, I went this way. No, you're lying. But I'm not calling any of you liars. I'm calling the recount a bit of a shamble because you've got pro Trump people doing a recount. They should have impartial people doing this fucking recount. Not some brain dead giving us monkey who's, well, Trump needs to win. Then you shouldn't be doing a recount. It shouldn't matter who you want to be. You shouldn't come out with a pro-Trump shirt on and say, we're doing a recount now, because that clearly makes you look biased as fuck. The recount should be done by people who are nonpartisan or bipartisan, but not partisan at all. You come out with a pro-Trump shirt on, I think it should be gone, eliminated, because people who are bipartisan or nonpartisan are the best people suited to this job. Yes, they should be paid really well for it too. As far as all the other slanderous crap, can't comment on it because I don't know. I mean, we've had elections before, like during the Bush-Gore election in 2000, dead people were also found to have voted. So it's not just Trump. It's Republican, but it's not just Trump. Anyway, let me get off here. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Based on how many views I get on YouTube and based on my numbers on Anchor, decides on how long I keep on doing this podcasting stuff. If you don't like it, tell me. If you do like it, tell me. If you disagree with me, tell me. I'm not going to be bashful about you trying to pummel me with words if you disagree with me. I don't want to feel like a internet whore and asking you to subscribe and like. It would be cool if you did. But I'm done begging. I've got 5 or 6 viewers on Facebook. I normally get about 3 to 7 listeners on Anchor. So you guys decide if you want to keep on listening to this or not. If you do, let me know. If you have another fucking idea for a podcast, let me know. Don't be in the silent majority. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick random crap you may not want to hear, like thread counts on silk sheets, or um, how to pick a nice leather satchel, which I'm in the process of doing right now. Either way, we've hit the 40-minute mark, and I've made this thing way too long. But you guys have a good one, and peace out. Have a good time. This has been the Carl Experience, so thank you for listening.